In this video, one flight will single-handedly dethrone both American Airlines and Southwest from being the most reviewed airline on this channel, bringing Delta to the top with 6 videos. Let's go. Hello from the chilly little city of Fargo, North Dakota. It's 3:50 a.m. here right now. I'm booked on Delta Airlines Flight 686, which at this time is operating the 5 a.m. departure down to Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's a rather early flight. It'll actually be the first passenger departure out of here this morning. This is Fargo's Hector International Airport. As you can see, it's got an interesting interior design. It's also very small, even smaller than Bozeman Yellowstone. Smallest airport I've covered on this channel so far. Only has 5 gates, as a matter of fact. But I've heard somewhere that they're planning to expand the terminal, which, given that every single one of the gates was occupied this morning, I don't think it would be a bad idea. All 5 of the airliners here came in last night, but my flight is the earliest departure, so most of the gate areas were empty. There was literally no one in the left wing of the airport, which starts here at Gate 5. Parked at Gate 5 is this United Express Embraer 175, and this plane will be heading down to Denver at around 7:30 a.m. Right beside it at Gate 4 stands another Embraer 175 of United, this one leaving a bit earlier for Chicago O'Hare. As we head towards the center of the terminal, we pass Gate 3, which holds yet another Embraer 175, this one operated by American Eagle. This one will be going all the way to Dallas-Fort Worth. I actually have 2 reviews on some of these. Then toward the right of the terminal there's Gate 2, and parked here is this Delta Airlines Boeing 737-900 ER, which will be heading down to Minneapolis, which is exactly where I'm going. Except that this isn't my flight. There's actually 2 morning departures to Minneapolis out of here, this one leaving around 6 a.m., an hour after my flight leaves. My 5 a.m. flight will be found at Gate 1 at the right end of the terminal, and it'll be this 21-year-old ex-Northwest Airbus A319 of the tail number November 352 November Bravo. This will be my 40-minute ride to the Twin Cities, but if you're familiar with my channel, you may know that I already covered the opposite route on the same aircraft type, so part of me wishes that I would have gone for the 6 a.m. flight instead with the Boeing 737. This is an aircraft type I've been meaning to review with Delta. I actually did take a flight on a -800 in 2014 from Los Angeles to Salt Lake with Delta, but I don't remember much of that. But then again, if I had chosen this flight, I wouldn't have had the chance to connect in Minneapolis on Delta's A321neo, so it is what it is. I'm on the A319 today. If you enjoy content like this, please like the video and subscribe, and comment down below your thoughts. I'd love to hear them. Welcome to seat 28 of Delta's A319. One thing I must applaud Delta for is continuing to hand out sanitizing wipes. I wish all airlines would do this. They also handed out earbuds for the seatback screens. And United, I said this before and I'll say it again, if Delta is willing to offer these on 40-minute flights, there is no excuse for you not to have them on 9-hour ones. Okay, irrelevant mini rant over, let's proceed. Delta has charging ports on their seatback screens, but because I had a power pack with me, I never tried these out on this trip. Delta has a standard size tray table, and it was cleaned well, same with the plane's interior as a whole. The literature pocket had a safety card which was nicely branded, and an air sickness bag. Delta offers free Wi-Fi on a good portion of their fleet for SkyMiles members. Legroom on the A319 is very generous actually, especially for a 40-minute hop. But because this was a 40-minute flight, I knew beforehand that any sort of complimentary service was highly unlikely, and I was thirsty, so I grabbed a raspberry sweet tea while I was in the Fargo terminal.
The bag can be placed on its side, like a book in a bookshelf. There is a picture on the overhead bin that shows you how to correctly place that bag in that overhead bin. If you need any assistance, there are flight attendants here to assist you.
Delta's short-haul product is famous for these seatback screens, known for being super responsive and containing a massive selection of free entertainment, and in addition to that, they have an interactive flight map. Delta is also known for their incredible retrofits of their A319 and A320 interiors. I don't think anyone could guess the real age of this airplane.
As your mirror reline buttons are located above your seat. Your cabin
It's happening. 2023 is coming to a close. Another year over. This was a good, but somewhat exhausting year for me, for various reasons. But I wanted to review some of my aviation highlights from this year and talk about what's to come in 2024 on this channel while we taxi to Fargo's runway 36. I took a total of 22 flights as a passenger this year, mostly domestic, with 5 different airlines and 9 different aircraft types, the top 5 being the 737-700, the A319, the Embraer 175, the 737-800, and finally the 737 MAX 8. So yeah, a pretty eventful year for me in terms of flying, but not quite as much as 2022. I still enjoyed most of my flying experiences, had quite a few highlights, including trying out some new aircraft types like the Airbus A380 Jumbo, the A321neo, and the 737 MAX 8. And in addition to that, I flew with Avelo Airlines, which you may know as the new ultra low-cost carrier. I'm not going to base this off my objective ratings, but some of my favorite flights of 2023 include Chicago Midway to Denver with Southwest, Salt Lake to Minneapolis with Delta, Chicago O'Hare to London with British Airways, Las Vegas to Indianapolis with Southwest. I don't know, that flight just hit different in the best way. And finally, Fargo to Minneapolis with Delta. Yeah, that's right, this ultra short flight was one of my favorites of 2023. Now that we're about to take off, let's leave Fargo, and then I'll talk a little bit about some of my plans for this coming year. Or so I thought we were about to take off. We ended up stopping short of the runway for about 10 minutes because there was this Pilatus PC-12 that really wanted to land before we could take off. I was getting worried. If you saw my A321neo video, you'd know that I didn't have much time in Minneapolis to make that flight. This is actually the flight I took prior to that, and let me tell you, the last thing I wanted was to miss my A321neo flight because of a Pilatus PC-12. But we only got held up for about 10 minutes or so, then we began our takeoff roll. Our routing today had us perform an immediate southeast turn. I started a movie not long after takeoff, which I would finish on my connecting A321neo flight to Salt Lake. There's nothing really to show as this was a quick flight, so I'm gonna talk about some of my flight plans for 2024. This 2023 finale review conveniently ends my backlog of reviews from this year. However, in January, I'm scheduled to take Alaska Airlines, finally. A video on that airline has been long awaited. I may even take some regional jets around the beginning of the year, which I'd consider making videos on. I'll be doing Spain and Germany again, where I'll take a look at Swiss International Airlines if all goes well, and I'll also revisit a few European airlines previously covered by me in 2022. I'll also be revisiting United short haul, one of the flights currently set to be on their new and improved 737 MAX 8. Okay, but let's be honest here, knowing my luck, they're probably going to change the plane. Last thing I wanted to mention was that maybe, just maybe, I'll be flying down to the South Pacific. I am really excited for 2024, and I hope it's a good year. 2023 was alright in my opinion. Let me know down in the comments section what you thought about 2023. And that ends this 39-minute flight along with my current backlog of videos. Also takes the win for the shortest flight on this channel, beating Flight 2101 by 2 minutes. This was the opposite route of Flight 2101, also the exact same aircraft type, so a lot of my opinions on this flight align with that one. But I enjoyed this flight more, mostly because of the skyline views I got during the Minneapolis landing, seeing Fargo Airport, and actually watching a movie this time. Also, I think I gotta mention this, there seemed to be more legroom on this flight than on my other A319 flight. Maybe I'm just seeing things because I don't know why that would be the case. Delta only has one A319 layout, but then again, it does say on their website that the seat pitch can range from 30 to 31 inches. So maybe I just picked a luckier seat this time. Either way, this was the more comfortable flight, and that coupled with everything else, it was one of my favorite flights of this year. This flight is getting a final score of 9.8 out of 10, and it brings a satisfying closure to 2023. Happy New Year to you all, and I hope you enjoyed this trip report. If you have the time, please consider commenting your thoughts down below.